So what's up?
No, bro. Chilling.
How is it? How are things going?
Good. Just fucking had my meal. Getting a little lazy to make my next one, but I gotta do it.
You're cutting right now, right?
Yeah. It's weird. Like if I eat, I'm good. But then if I don't eat, the difference in like how I look the next day is just insane. Like if I continue eating what I'm eating right now, I'm good. Like I look good. The next day I'm like full. But then if I miss a meal or two meals and I just try to slam a shake or something,
Yeah.
because calories are already low, that it's like you feel the difference.
Yeah, it was like Jay Cutler back in the day. He was saying like a meal miss goes into the next day and then it affects the way you look and the way that you train and stuff.
I've noticed that a lot, like especially on like the overall pump too. Like last 4 days I hit every meal.
Yeah.
Also because I did get meal prep, I was out and about, so I just paid the money, I grabbed it.
Yeah.
It was ready to go. And like the training session on how round my delts were, how full my like weird everything, dude. Like I was like, holy shit, like what the hell? And then yesterday had a gig and I didn't eat as much. I had two meals before I left, and then I had a meal when I got there. I only had 3 meals yesterday.
Yeah. So for the people listening, when he says a gig, Sonny plays Dhol, right? So it's more for the Indian style, but even like some of the Hindi or the Hindu weddings and stuff, they like to have like a Dhol. So like, well, when I go on my if I share the screen, I'll show some of the stuff, so like people can kind of get a better understanding, because not everybody's gonna understand. Like when you say gig, it could be anything, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So that happened, and then they had roasted salmon with potatoes and a salad. So I wasn't sure how much, like, if we're gonna be able to eat again.
Yeah.
I ate like 8 pieces of fucking salad. I shoved the plate with 8 pieces of salmon, bunch of potatoes, and then a cup of coffee because I was falling asleep.
Where was this though?
Weston Bayshore.
Oh, okay.
And then I looked to the left, and there's like this whole table full of chips, candy, like, because Halloween stuff, right? I was like, oh no, like, no, don't do it. And then I tried not to, but everybody I was with just started grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think I ended up having like the small fuzzy peach little candy things.
Yeah.
I had a pack of that. I had a granola bar and.
Bro, telling your coach this, like,
yeah,
I'm on podcast, it's kind of like, bro, what are you doing?
But then, like, I was like, oh fuck, and then the whole time, I was just like, I was pissed off, right? And these guys are just like, yo, what's wrong with you? I'm like, you don't fucking get it, man. I've been like clean. I've been trying to not mess around. Like, I'm like, and I met up with you guys, burned like 3 dubs, and that's it. I'm like, you guys sabotaged me, right? So then I just started walking around in circles.
But you know what though? First, one day of bad eating isn't gonna make you fat.
No.
And one day, and like on the flip side, one day of like eating clean doesn't make you healthy.
No.
So like if you lose a day here or there, I think where it's really bad for some people, like you're one of them too, and I used to be like this, is like you have that one bad day, and it affects you for a couple days. You're like, oh man, I really messed up.
I've never been the type to be like, I ate like crap yesterday. Fuck it, I'm gonna eat like shit today. I always.
Oh no, not like that. I mean, just like it'll be like, oh man, I kind of screwed up that meal there. Like you don't just like forget it. Like, oh okay, it happened. Whatever. Let's get back on track. Sometimes you need a little bit of time to rebound.
For me, I'll always be clean all day.
Yeah.
I will, like, it could be anything in front of me, pizza, like my favorite stuff out there. I could be starving. I won't touch it if it's daytime.
Yeah.
Even like evening, I won't touch it. I'll wait. I'll suffer. I'll eat my meal. I'll have a shake.
Yeah.
For me, it's the late night after 10, 11 p.m. when I either burned, or if not even burning, but like just sitting there and like not being able to sleep or whatever it is, and then all these cravings kick in. And it's not even like kicking in. I just go downstairs when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I do not want to eat chicken breast.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I'm talking to it, like, eat it. No, the body's not. No, and then to psychologically make myself feel like I'm not a fat ass.
Yeah.
Is I'll eat my chips. I'll eat whatever the hell I put my like whatever is in the pantry.
Yeah.
But I'll slam a protein shake and tell myself, "Oh yeah, got my protein." Got my protein.
I mean, man, when you get to a certain point in the diet, like you're getting to that point where there's not a lot of calories you get, right? And like when you get to that point though, it's like depending on the person's metabolism, it could be like 4 to 8 weeks of like a little bit of suffering. You're hearing a lot of like new coaches talk about like you shouldn't be suffering, you shouldn't have to do lots of cardio towards the end of like a preparation.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be like just fit and healthy, yeah, you don't have to do it. But if you want to get like super lean,
yeah, that's true.
It requires some suffering.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, we should talk like the reason for the podcast. So the reason for the podcast is we can talk to each other because we're best friends with our wives yelling at us because we have a reason. We have a podcast that we're doing. We have a passion for bodybuilding. We have a passion for jiu-jitsu. You know, Sonny hasn't done it in a while, but I've been training jiu-jitsu for on and off the last 2 years. I haven't trained much. Today was actually my first day back in a long time, but I've been doing it for on and off like 15 years. Man, we have like basically like we've been like training like bodybuilders or whatever, making the bro mistakes. So now it's just like we're like, hey man, let's just record a podcast and see how we can kind of give back. And
side note, guess what's in my freezer right now? It's been sitting there since August 13th.
Was it cheap food?
Yeah.
In your freezer. Is it like ice cream bar?
Extra large DQ cake. Well, it's just sitting there. It hasn't even been touched. My cousin brought it. The ones my cousin Ajay that's here from India.
Yeah.
He brought a cake on my birthday, which I was like, man, like I told you I'm not about, you know, like you know me, I'm not huge on celebrating birthdays or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he brings it, whatever, it's all good. So then I cut it because of the cease. Like she was like, I gotta cut the cake. And then he brings another one on our anniversary, and he brings this massive one. And I'm like, what am I doing? So it's untouched. It's there.
Yeah.
It's gonna get damaged pretty soon. But
I mean, man, we were smashing those every weekend for like I would say almost a year.
You fucking assholes.
Yeah, right. It was like almost like we would do the whole run to like 4 or 5.
I've never had to turn my phone off on friends before.
Hey, man, you know when you have a junk food meal, like you could even relate with like you're married now, right? Even when you're like dating, your partner doesn't want to eat the junk food meal by themselves. They want to have like somebody with them, almost like enjoying it with them. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Me right now, like
it's true though. Like it's like even here, like at home, like sometimes if Sim hasn't ate, she's like, I'm gonna order something.
So on the weekend, it was. Do you remember the ADCC competition?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Abu Dhabi. I think it's Abu Dhabi Combat Club is what it stands for, but it's probably the biggest no-gi grappling tournament out there. Now, I'll show you some of the guys that competed. It was pretty nutty. Like this is the first grappling show that like the reason why you don't see BJJ on like main TV stuff is because it's hard to like market it. It can be pretty boring, right? The guy's lying on top of another guy for like 10 minutes and nothing's going on. It can be pretty boring.
Yeah.
But there's a guy, I think his name's Mo Jassim. He's the one that ran it this year. And he did it like, do you remember Pride Fighting Championships from Japan?
Yeah.
They had these crazy intros, like nuts, like fireworks. They had the guys like, I remember like Genki Sudo. He was like getting carried on like a little like a king's little like not a chariot, but you know how like the 4 guys carry him in.
Like WWE style, like crazy entrances.
Yeah, like crazy showboating stuff. I think like, even in bodybuilding back in the day, they had a phase where they tried to do that. I think like early years before Dorian Yates won the Olympia competition. But I'm going to share my screen and then I'll show you like some of the stuff. There's one picture that's unreal. Like the first ADCC and what it looks like now, just crazy what it looks like, bro. Let me just share. It's on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So this is what it looked like, bro. Look at that.
Holy fuck.
Like, look at the lights. Look at that. It looks like a crazy concert, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like normally tournaments are in like a gymnasium, right? This
they did like a full like UFC style, eh? Like,
it was like nuts, man. It was nuts. I think the guy was like, obviously he's got a team, but the guy that I can remember off the top of my head was this guy named Mo Jassim. Him and Gordon Ryan actually were on the Joe Rogan's podcast discussing it and promoting it and stuff, right? And Gordon Ryan is like a monster right now. He just destroyed everybody, right? I'll show you his stuff, but this is a picture I wanted to show you. On the bottom is like the first ADCC. Look at the bleachers, like 2 mats. Like that's what it was before.
That's how I remember it when I was used to train. Like the videos used to show.
You watch videos, right?
It was just like the typical tournaments we went to locally.
Yeah.
Just like a bigger version of it.
Yeah, and then look at it now. Look at the top. Way different, bro. And so like, I mean, Gordon Ryan's like kind of like he's got a Conor McGregor effect, right? Let's see if you can watch this video. This is the intro. Is the audio going through too?
Yeah, it's cutting a little bit, but yeah. That's crazy, dude. And then that's just for
Rafael retired. He retired this competition.
He was a champ previous, right?
No, I don't think Rafael ever won the ADCC.
He didn't?
They had solid intro.
But he was a top dog. He was a top dog.
I can't hear you on top of the audio, but that's Gordon. There's Andre. They had a super fight. So it's like previous champions. Crazy, man. So like it was crazy, and then
there's a lot of people too, eh?
Yeah, I think like most tournaments have like a few thousand. I think this one had like 12,000 people, which is big for a jiu-jitsu tournament.
People are starting to appreciate jiu-jitsu differently now too, though.
You know what I really think it is, right? And I might catch some heat because then people are going to be like, "Oh, you're just trying to put it on one person, or you're like being a nut hugger or whatever." But I think like the drama, because Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao, that was the main super fight, right? They had an altercation at like a who's number one competition, is another grappling tournament, and like Gordon smacked him twice, right? It caused a lot of heat, and then they had the tournament, right? And Andre's the legend, right? He's won ADCC so many times. So what happens is if you win the absolute, in the ADCC, then you become like a champ, like an ADCC champion that fights in the super fight, and the super fight is like between 2 absolute champion winners, as far as I know, right? And so Andre, I think he's won the super fight like 4 or 5 times in a row. And so the last one, he was supposed to retire, but what ended up happening is they had this altercation, and they ended up, having this, like, that was I guess that's his final match. I'm not too sure. But so what Gordon did is like, I don't think anybody's done it before. He normally, when you fight for the super fight, you just fight that one match. He fought his division, won his division, like dominating, and then he fought the super fight after that, and he won the super fight by submission. Right, so it's just crazy, man. Like it was a really good ADCC. I think Shanji and Rafael, I think they retired from no-gi competition now, I think. So it's like, but it's come so far, man. Like this was nutty when I was watching the stream. Just crazy, bro. Yeah. So it's gone so crazy. And the reason why I like Gordon is because he's like, I just want to bodybuild, be jacked, and be good at jiu-jitsu. So like he's young too, bro. He's 27 years old. So this is his thing.
That's wild.
So he's got that, like, you remember the old guy that like he colored his beard gray, his hair was all gray, and he's jacked.
Yeah.
So this is him.
He's only 27?
I'm pretty sure he's only 27 years old. He catches a lot of heat too because he's on, he talks on social media. He doesn't have a problem calling people out or calling people out on their BS and stuff. But you know what? Like, I'll be honest.
So he died.
What's that?
He dyed that white. He dyed that white.
I think this is his normal color or whatever he does. And then he did it this way. But I remember in the beginning, I'm like, who the hell is this guy, right? So cocky, so this, so that. And then you see other stuff, and you're like, oh, actually, he's just very confident, and he's like really good. And
where's he from?
It shows in his like in his accomplishments, right?
Where's he from?
They're in Texas right now, but I think their original gym was in Henzo Gracie's in New York.
So and he's an American guy?
He's an American guy, yeah. So the sport that was usually dominated by, majority Brazilian competitors, it seems like it's kind of changing a little bit now. And his coach, bro, Danaher, if you watch an interview with him, you're going to be like, yo, this guy's like, he's got serial killer vibes.
No way.
Right? Like, but he's so intelligent. He has a game plan. I remember watching a video of his saying that you could reinvent yourself in 5 years. Like you could be like nobody just starting jiu-jitsu. And in 5 years, if you have the right training program and the right, the right setup, you could be competing against the best in the world. And you would think like he's BSing, right? But he's done that with basically his whole team of guys. Right? So it's just nuts, man. I just want to bring this up because, like it's cool the direction that jiu-jitsu is going. I like the popularity. Like you remember when I was doing it, man, it was like when I was competing, there was nobody there. Like it was like the bleachers weren't even full. It would be just a handful of people.
It's changed, man. I've noticed that.
It was a very small culture of people, right? So I was just like, yo, man, like, I'm glad that it's moving in the right direction. But nutty, man. Like, if I knew it was going to be like that type of promotion, I would have gone for sure.
Yeah, now, it's changed like crazy.
Yeah, man. Hopefully you get back into it. If you start training again, we'll go to some of these.
The plan is to, man. Hopefully things free up a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, my plan.
I might just make it make it like an actual part of the week schedule where it's like I'm not lifting, I'm not doing anything that day. That's what it's going to be.
That's what I did. I pulled it back from like
because otherwise I'm not going to be able to balance both.
Yeah, that's why I started doing, I only live 4 days now. And the remaining days, like if I can fit it in. That's the other crazy thing. Danaher has his guys training 7 days a week. It's crazy.
No, but I mean, like, if you have the time, it depends on timing, right? Like things are just different now. This was like 6 years ago. Then
No, I'm talking like if you want to be a professional on something, you want to do it all the time to get better at it.
That's different.
Yeah. But like, I think he was saying, like, I think I heard something where he had like a lawyer that trains 3 times a week, and he eventually tapped out a world champion black belt in a tournament.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Crazy. So that tells you something that like the way you train, the way you structure your plan, and the how you're going about it. There's a lot of things that make sense, man. A lot of things that make sense. When I got black belt, I remember I'm like, okay, I just got to refine what I know, like my skills. I just got to refine it, like make this tighter. But you get this false misconception that you're like, okay, I'm a black belt now, so my game is set. And the truth is, man, like I constantly gotta, like I gotta set the bar higher. I gotta be like, okay, how can I add another layer? And if you're constantly doing a little bit more each day, you can become like really good. I think what happens with a lot of people is they hit a certain point and they just cruise.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. But okay, man. So let's flip the switch. Arnold, so bodybuilding now. Arnold Classic UK is going down, I think, this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Have you looked at any of the competitors?
Yeah.
Dude, who do you think?
I mean, no, man. This is like, it's tricky. Like even after watching like RBP and like Fuad guys and all of them, like their influence goes so hard on your own decision.
Yeah.
Right? Like you think you're oh shit, yeah, this guy's looking good, whatever. But after listening to them and everything, like their points are so correct that like you don't know, man. It's like it's so up in the air because it all depends on how everybody shows up. Like if someone shows up
the fun in it, man. That's the fun of predictions, right?
Yeah, like I mean, like I'm hoping James hits the top. You know, hands. Like it's just I'm a fan of his training, fan of how just everything how he does it.
He's a very unique bodybuilder. He's very introspective.
Yeah, like it's just everything about him, and like mind you, also like he's been in it for longer than I think most of the guys that are coming up that they're talking about. Like you got Andrew Jack, you got all these guys that are all new. So it's hard to say. I don't know, but I mean, I'm hoping James shows up the way he's supposed to show up.
I mean, man, like the last showing I had him, like I was the Mr. Olympia competition. I was like, this guy's gonna be fighting for top 6. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
and I think he got 12th, maybe 10th.
He had the issue with he dropped too much tissue, didn't he? That's what it was.
Yeah, but like maybe it could have been travel, maybe it could have been something else. But man, like I was really hoping that he was going to be top 6, top 7. But the thing is, though, man, like people are gonna speculate because like now it's tricky, right? Because is he even working with Patrick?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think he does most of his stuff like off season on his own, and then he gets Patrick guys involved near the end, like during the cutting phase and like actual prep, right?
No, I think before he actually had Patrick run the whole thing.
But now I think his last, from what I know now, based on what at least what I've been listening to, if I'm correct, his off season he was mostly focusing on himself. I think he still does a check-in once in a while, but manages his off season on his own.
This is what we're talking about right now. James Hollingshead. So, man, he's looking massive.
Yeah, no, that's insane. And he's like, what did he weigh in there?
Let's see. Give me one sec.
He's still I think he's up there, like
I think he was like in the 270s.
Yeah, for some reason I'm thinking 275, but I can't remember.
It's hard because I've been looking at some people's check-ins. I mean, man, like this guy's an animal, and he like
how strong he is fucking insane.
I think what was the knock on him in terms of like last time he was shredded, but he wasn't full, right, at the Olympia.
That's what it was. It was the listen. He dropped that tissue let's come in full.
Yeah, let's also say this: we're both not pro IFBB pro bodybuilders or pro coaches or anything like that. So this is just guys that are talking that have loved bodybuilding for years, and we're just kind of talking, spitballing, right?
Like I'm not an OCD crazy fanatic that I know all the details about things, but I do. I mean, that's something I watch every day. So it's whatever I catch, whatever I know. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to be like, you're wrong. Maybe I am, man.
Dude, look at it. His side shots have gotten a lot, like really good. Look at that, man. Look at the legs. Yeah. He's got the crazy hamstring, like the hamstring. Even the striations are kicking in here. I think, man, he's one of those people that can really tighten up quick.
Mm-hmm.
So he could drop like 7 pounds, 8 pounds in the span of a few days. I think his main thing is he just needs to be full on that day. Even if he's like, let's say he's a little bit soft because he's over full, maybe he spills a little. Like as long as he's able to keep the waist in, I think, man, that's the look he has to go for because, okay, nice. So these are the competitors here. Some of the top names. So
yeah, Mark's up there. Mark's there. You got Andrew. You got
dude. Martin is looking. He's working with Branch Warren right now.
Yeah.
Right. He looks nutty.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you were gonna do a top 3, who do you think you're gonna go with? But okay. So we've looked at James. I guess we can't go through everybody, but we'll go through James. I'm thinking right now off the top of my head, I have top 5. It's gonna be James, Mark Hector, Brandon, Andrew Jack, and I'm gonna forget his name now. This guy. Is it Charles Griffin? No. He works with Milos. It is
which one?
Max Charles. This one right in the middle. Yeah. So Let's see if I can find Mark Hector.
Mark Hector looks wild, bro. His fucking clavicles and his like shoulder width is insane. Like just how wide he is as a structure.
Okay, well, Martin showed up first, so look at Martin. I mean, I don't think he's really posting all that much in terms of physique, but like you can only expect him to be harder than he was in Texas, right? Look at that.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
That's fucking insane, man. That's crazy.
He taught, like, I think last time his conditioning wasn't there. Working with Branch Warren is like, he's a grain train himself, right? And the funny thing is too, Brandon's known more, or Martin, I said Brandon. Martin's really known for his back shots. Like, it's lights out. I think he probably wins the back shot against everybody in this competition. Can't find one here. But...
Is Flex overlooking anybody right now? You know?
Flex Wheeler's he's taking care of Andrew Jack.
No, I know Wheeler. I'm talking about Lewis.
Flex Lewis is like one of the coolest guys in the industry, man. So I think Rafael Brandel's there sometimes. There's that Korean guy that's there from time to time. But I don't know if
somebody's actually like. I thought there's somebody recently that he's actually like. I thought there's someone recently that he's actually like fully involved in.
I hope he does it.
That's up there right now. I can't remember that.
Like, let's be honest. So I think the first of the old school coaches was Milo Sarchev when he started working with Regan Grimes earlier, I think last year. Mm-hmm. And when he worked with Regan, he got Regan in, like, he got him peeled, man. Right? Regan always had a knock that he wasn't full. He didn't look good. And man, like when he worked with Milos,
I just talked to Regan. Yeah.
Right. And then so like Milos worked with him, and then he won I think Reno, Egypt. Right? No, sorry, Reno. He lost to Sean Clarita, man. Clarita, dude. Let's see if I can find a shot of his. I think he looked his best at the Egypt show. If I can find it, but it's gonna be quite a ways. But like when he worked with Milos, I was like, oh man, that's where he was really excelling. But I mean, like in the Olympia, he was off, so I don't know if he was tired, but like I think some of these guys that like this was the Olympia, I think. Yeah. But like these guys working with the older generation, like Flex Wheeler's helping Andrew Jack. Look at Andrew coming up hard. You have like let me see who else is there that are like some of the old school guys that started helping people. You gotta like I know Chris Cormier's helped quite a few people over the years.
Well, you got what's his name helping Rami too, right?
Chad Nichols
and Dennis.
Oh yeah, James. That's right, Dennis James. Dude, like this was him in Reno.
Yeah, I think he just needs a proper off season, bro. He's took the whole year off, so we'll see what happens by next year.
He's even Jay Cutler's with him sometimes. You know what I mean? He made the move to Vegas.
I know he's not competing this year, so
yeah. I hope he does, man. I hope he does because
who?
I hope he takes the year off.
He is. He's already said it.
Yeah. Like but. There's a lot of guys that said they're gonna call it in, and then they start doing the later shows, or they they want to get early qualification for next year, so they do a show at the end of the year here.
I think I know him, but I know that they realize he just needs that proper off season.
He just needs time to fill it in.
Yeah.
Right, and maybe
that's what the knock was, wasn't it? Like it was like he's big, he's got the shape and everything, but the muscles just don't have the density.
Look at this.
Yeah,
that's nutty. Yeah, he has to fill in some areas for sure. Yeah. Like. I think his pecs are the weakest muscle, according to like what I heard. So if he fills this up, gets it blasted full, this guy's going to be dangerous, man.
The chest is massive though still.
Yeah, but when you're standing with like the top guys in the world, then every little thing matters, right? Yeah, you look at Ian, and Ian's, he says his chest is small, and people like us are going to look at him and be like, no, man, you're good. But when you compare him against...
Yeah, he says it's fine now. He had a phase where he said it was small, but remember he said he brought it up now. Now he's not worried. But
well, he put on a lot of mass this time, man. If he can get the conditioning down like he had it before, you know, I really hope he does, but it makes it tricky now with like Derek and those guys coming in. But let's take it back to the Arnold UK, man. Let me see if I can get something with Andrew jacked, because he's the talk right now. Is this him? Let's see. Yeah, man.
I think with him, we're gonna find out more so here, because you'll be around some big boys, bro.
Just look at him, man.
That's insane, man. Fuck. Like, I don't even know what to say.
The structure is nuts. He's got the crazy X frame, man. Like, and I want James to win, and I think James can do it. If it's anybody's gonna beat this guy, it's gonna be James. I don't see Martin beating Andrew, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then obviously, man, Mark Hector's put on like 25 pounds of muscle in this.
He's looking insane too, man.
But like, where I think he might lack is in the legs department a little bit compared to the rest of the competition. Yeah. Right? But man, even Hector looks nutty. But if we're gonna do it, I'm gonna go with number 1. It's gonna be my boy James, man. I feel like he's gonna make it happen. 2 is gonna be Andrew. 3, Martin. And then 4 is gonna be who was the other person I was just talking about? Mark Hector. 5 is gonna be Charles.
Yeah.
And 6 is gonna be Jamie the Giant.
Yeah.
Right.
AKA
Giant. Yeah, man. I like that guy. Man, it's hard. He's like 6'5", man. It's hard to fill that frame.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like, this is like, you know, that's why when Andrew walked in, being like, I think he's like 6'1".
Yeah.
6'2", and he's looking good. He made it work.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. Who do you? I put 6 there. Who do you think's gonna? What's your top 6?
That's where I was at too. I can't think of any other different. I mean, 1 and 2 is up there, but
if James is off, then he could be like 3rd, 4th, 5th.
He could be, yeah, easily.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
If we're talking about how big he is, the type of conditioning he can get into. Now,
Roman's not doing, is he?
Pardon me?
Roman?
Yeah, but I think Roman is going through a bit of a transition, right? Is
he doing the UK though?
He might be. I don't know. He didn't show up in the pictures in the lineup, I don't think.
Yeah.
But man, that guy's super peeled all the time too.
Yeah. He's right?
Like, he's always the guy that's like just absolutely shredded beyond belief. But I mean, man, the guy's still going. Didn't he have his hips replaced?
Yeah.
Dude, nutty. So I think this is the line. This is the group here. So yeah, man. As far as I can see, you know, it's basically James, Hector, Andrew, Martin. Then Lionel Bayeki, man, that guy is like, he's like a Flex Wheeler level in terms of his body shape and structure and how he looks. Lionel Bayeki. Can you see my mouth moving it?
Yeah, no,
this guy here, man. He's like the Akeem. If Akeem figures out his back situation.
I remember the first time I saw Lionel, I was like, what the fuck? This guy looks like Kai Green.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. There's so many people out there, and it's like, yo, if they could just put it together, but you know,
just his facial structure too, like looks like very similar to Kai Green.
Very similar, man. If he had the hair, if he had the dreads. Right?
I thought it was like his brother or cousin or something. I was like, what the? So that's insane.
You pretty much got the same top 5?
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with you there, man. I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes, but we'll do some questions now. I think we're good with that. So, first question. So these are some questions that I had from some clients, and then some people just wanted to ask me. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Currently,
Wait, it changes?
Huh?
It changes for you?
Yeah, like, I mean, there's phases, like years back, it was all about pizza, right? Pizza.
But you don't like pizza now?
No, I do. If I'm making it, I'm kind of very turned off from store-bought pizza. Mind you, it's also probably the reason with all the gluten stuff going on that, like, unless I'm ordering a cauliflower one or something, but even if I order a cauliflower crust pizza, I'll have to throw it in the oven because I like my pizza crispy, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, pizza is probably the thing, but lately, it's sushi.
Yeah.
I just can't go wrong. Like it does the spot, hits the spot. It does what I needed to do, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And
So
I find I don't binge too much with it too, because if I try to, like, yeah, I want just chips and junk, I'll keep eating, man. Like but sushi, it's like, even if I'm like, if I'm, like, got the munchies, whatever going on, I can eat, but I won't be able to eat like crazy amounts. But I can over time, but at one sitting, no. It's not like that.
Yeah. Sushi is it's a safe one, man. Like, if I have somebody that's getting close to a competition or something, that's where you really got to control. Because if I do pizza, my stomach's killing me the rest of the day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not pizza. Just less again. Like, if I'm doing cauliflower or something and I'm making it at home, because even if I'm ordering chicken pizza from like these places, I'm so picky with my chicken these days. Like, my meats. If it gives me any vibe of like processed, or like, like Subway has that nasty chicken, any of these places have like that rubbery chicken, I'm turned off, man. I can't do it. So if I'm gonna make pizza, I'd rather make it at home with actual chicken or whatever I want to put on. But if I'm gonna order pizza, lately I just do vegetarian or cheese, and I'll have to order some sort of meat, something on the side. But it's either between sushi or nachos and wings.
Okay.
Nachos and wings. The nachos are some sort of protein source.
Yeah, so I could go with that. Those are solid choices, man.
Those two things, I don't know what it is. Those, and and I've tried to go with the baked wings. It just grows. Just doesn't hit the spot.
Okay.
But those two.
Yeah, for me, it's gone to the point where it's like very straightforward. Chicken strips and fries.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
And then I'm gonna have some like pecan pie, right? Yeah. I don't know what it is about it's. I don't think a lot of people like pecan stuff.
No,
pecan pie, or like a pecan style like brioche French toast.
Okay.
That's my go-to, man. And then if I'm gonna smash it down, it's gonna be like, I've tried to avoid the ice creams, because just like, how you were saying, some of those other foods don't agree with you either. If I have like ice cream or chocolates, like the super sugary stuff, it screws me up big time, man. So if I'm in prep and I'm getting ready for something, if I'm in prep going through, like, getting ready for a competition or something like that, or cutting weight, I really control my cheat meal. So I do kind of like what you do. So like sushi, not nachos really, but like sushi is usually the go-to for me if I'm in prep. But if it's not, and the doors are open, see, like right now, the coach I work with, so even me, I'm gonna hire a coach because I want to be better for my clients, right? So what he does is he kind of gives me parameters on, you got 3 hours, and in the 3 hours, it's not a free for all. Eat a meal at the first hour, and then wait an hour or two, and then have your next meal. And he wants it all to be like moderate protein, moderate carb, moderate fat. So it could be like waffles, pancakes, eggs, turkey bacon, that stuff. It could be burrito bowls. It could be like basically stuff that's like moderate in terms of like each macro. But he doesn't want me to go off the rocker and start smashing like 4 cakes or like just have dessert only. And man, like I had it today, and normally, you know how I like to structure it for people. It's like have it as your last meal of the day. I did it like meal number 3. So I'm having about 6 meals a day. So I was good. I had those 2 meals, and then I'm gonna have another meal. I'm like, my hunger's all messed up. I don't feel like Oka, right? So I mean,
I can't do my cheats early in the day. I find, just because then it just messes me up from eating the rest of my food. It's just me. Okay. But depending, I mean, if I tried it, I think I could make it work. Because I think it'd be better, because at least then I'm not just going to sleep.
Okay.
right? Just eat all that shit and go to sleep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that sugar wise, no. I got a dark chocolate thing right now.
Yeah, but dark chocolate can be fit into programs. I have I have some people that have it in some of their meals. So it might
Like
sound
if I get
nasty.
dark chocolate once a day, twice a day.
No, I have some clients. What they do is
be...
they have like a cream of rice meal, and they'll do like almond or peanut butter, and then they'll put a little bit of dark chocolate in there, and they're like, it's amazing. For me, I'm cool. Like I don't really put any stuff off limits, but that stuff I add in from time to time. So next one is what do you like the most about your businesses, and what are some of your pet peeves? So Sonny runs he has a Dhol business. So actually what's the handle?
Well, yeah, the team that we just started up last year is Beats by Dhol. It's loading. Yeah, there you
go. Okay. So Beats by Dhol.
So yeah, this is which is basically just
this was sick, yo.
This is a collective. So it's
this was like
it's the promo we got here. Yeah. That's all.
That was like a mobile juggle. That's sick.
Yeah, that's something we just started this year. Just it was like a different option of giving people something to do, adding a volume. I mean, like people always book a Dhol player with juggles, and like, we can rock it ourselves, but the whole point of a juggle is to cause as much noise as possible, right? So we just came out with this idea and kind of got it going, and we've had I think 3 or 4 bookings of it this year because we only started it at the end of August, mid-August, I think it was.
You guys do the Canucks games too, right?
Yeah, that's like an ongoing regular thing through one of our bros, Gopi Gurpsian. He actually does hockey night in Punjabi. He's one of the main guys on there.
Oh, nice. But this performance is outdoors, right?
This one's outdoors, and then we do 1 or 2 on the ice, or depending on where they want us inside.
Oh, okay.
And there's a few other things we're working on. Like Abbotsford Canucks kind of came around, and they've been wanting us too, so that's something that's there too. It's all around the Diwali too, right? It's all for the South Asian community.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome, man.
As for pet peeves and business wise,
like, do you enjoy like partying and stuff, or like are you kind of and it's like, man, I'm always at parties?
No, it's something because I'm not there to party. I'm there to add value. I'm there to add an environment where people are just very hyped out that like when I leave, they don't want you leaving. That's the impact we're trying to make. You know, we're not trying to come out and be like, oh, we're just going to be sticking on playing all night, because we can do that. We've done that. I've done that for I don't know how many years. But the whole point of a service is adding value. If you're just fading into the party, then your service is there, it's provided, but it's not going to add an impact that people are going to start wanting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Dhol became out here. It was like, it became one of those things where people just didn't really care for it. But now in the last year, the brand we've built, the impact we make in that hour, 2 hours we're there, of that maybe 5-6 hour night, the total of dancing, whatever's going on, people are just left speechless, right?
Oh,
they're
awesome.
like, wow. Like, and then as soon as we leave, it's even getting to a point sometimes now that DJs are personally going up to the clients saying, dude, if these guys leave, the party's going to die. And it's not against the DJs. It's just that we together as a team, you vibe, because without the DJ, we ain't nothing, right? Yeah, we can play live, but without the DJ playing the right music, timing, reading the crowd, knowing that, you know, they got a Dhol player with you, don't put up a Dhol remix, right? That's a pet peeve that I could throw out there too. It's like, you have live Dhol players. Why are you putting a random person who made a mix with Dhol?
Oh, okay. So is that your pet peeve when it comes to the business?
There's many, but I mean,
if you had to narrow it down
this
to
is one of those things that just
the most annoying thing for you, what is it?
Time.
Like added time, they don't want
time
you
of arrival.
Oh, okay.
No, the time of arrival.
So they
that's something that kind of Yeah, like they'll tell you like, oh, for example, wedding morning, oh yeah, we're leaving the house. We're gonna be at the temple for 9 o'clock. No, you're not, man. I've been doing this since I was like 20 years old, like over 10, 11 years. Like, I know that's not gonna happen. And you know what? You can't argue at the end of the day because it is a client. So what we had to do was just change the way we spoke. Was okay, cool. We'll be there for 9 o'clock, but you have an hour window.
Yeah.
And as soon as it's all communication.
Pet peeve is definitely the timing thing then, in terms of like giving you a time, but you know they're not going to make it in time for it, which is super common in Indian weddings. Super, super common. People are optimistic the week of the wedding thinking they're going to show up at, oh, we're going to be at the temple for 9:30. And it's like with the pictures, with the video people and all that stuff added on with, you know, wardrobe malfunctions and all that stuff. You know, very rarely do you see people show up on time. It's always a half an hour to hour late, if not more, right?
Yeah, and we're okay with that. It's not that we're gonna be like, oh no, that's it. Like you're over an hour. Like if they tell me to come to the temple for 10 o'clock or 9:30 and they don't get there till 10, I'm half hour window. I'm chilling. I'm not gonna say anything, right? But if I'm waiting for an hour and now you still haven't arrived, or you arrive an hour after me being there, and you're still like lingering around, then I might say something. But I make it all clear before the booking that anything additional is $50 per the hour, right? And it's just making things clear that they know that you're just not no typical. We say Pendu Toli, which means like a Toli from the village of India who just you pay him a certain fee and he's there with you all day.
You guys are trying to set the standard and bring more professionalism to the business side of this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, that's what I noticed, because we've booked people in the past for stuff, and you know they might say I charge you such and such amount, and then you know a parent will go to the guy, and then the guy will end up giving it to you for half the price because they know how to haggle and talk the guy down.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, whatever, man. Maybe he's trying to make the sale. Maybe in India, like, or certain areas that works, but like, when you're talking about professionalism in a business, it should be like, you know, no, that's my rate. That's what I believe the value we provide in that time.
That's what it is, right? Like, I mean, I've lost gigs. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we quote our price, and yeah, for sure, there's people out there doing it cheaper. But again, I'm nothing against any of them. They're good tool players too. There's some ones that aren't, and that's every field. But we know what we're bringing, and our prices are priced. And if you want us, you just got to pay it. Because I'm taking time out of my day, away from my kids, away from my family, to come out to your event, and I'm not just coming out for a certain price, right? Like I'm coming out, it's sort of worth my while.
Yeah.
And in what you're paying for, you're gonna get, and you're gonna be happy, and that's all I can say, right?
Yeah.
And our content and content's of what it is at the end of the day. Like our page is flying, like it's it's doing well. We all have our personal pages too, like the boys, TJ, Nav.
You want me to pull them up?
You can pull mine up. I mean, you can pull theirs up too. But I mean, I think
what's yours?
Sunny Toli 604. And I mean, it's all the same stuff. But I mean, like, it's a collective, right? Like we've all known each other for like I don't even know how many years, and we all play a certain way that when we all play together, we sound like one Dhol.
Yeah.
So we just had a discussion, and DJ were like, "Yo, like, we need to do something," and he just dropped this idea on me. He's like, "Hey man, I have a name for a team," and I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And he didn't believe me, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Is this actually happening?" And I was like, "Yeah," because on one side of things, like we're both very social. We can talk to people. We have no issue with getting contacts, talking to people, like email or whatever, all that stuff. But on the tech side of things, that's where I stepped in, where I made the page, started posting, and even that I wasn't good at it because I was posting quality, not the best quality videos, not the best angles. I guess there's a certain way you should post, and then that's where one of our bros, Nav, TVM, he stepped in. He's like, "Hey, like, do you mind if I take charge of this stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And then he basically revamped the whole page, and it's just headed wherever it's headed right now. I don't know where it's gonna go, but hopefully it gets to a point where like we are who we are, and that's what people are booking.
I mean, it's good, man. You want people to have the professionalism when it comes to their business. You know, you want to make sure that you're getting a good service. Oh, look at this bromance. Look at this romance.
It's all about the leg kick, bro. The leg kick.
Okay. So in terms of pet peeves for me, it's got to be clients ghosting. And it's more so because like as soon as I don't hear back from you for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I know what it is. It's they messed up on their diet and they feel ashamed to message the coach.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, I'm trying to help people out. I know that these, fuck ups happen, right? So I don't really sweat it. I just look at like, okay, how did it happen? Let's rewind and let's try to fix that, right? So I mean, that's probably a pet peeve, and I don't even really care at the end of the day because it's more about like just get you back on track and let's kind of look at what happened, put some plans in action or some steps in action where that mistake doesn't happen again, and then we're gonna hop right back on. Yeah. And then the best part of the business, if I'm being completely honest, it's super cliche, but like in the beginning, I've been doing this for like 14 years, man. Like I've been helping people for free for a very, very long time. And now people are like, you don't charge people for this? And I was like, why should I? Like, I don't mind just helping people. They're like, you can make a living from this, right? And if you start to charge people a certain amount of money, they'll start to value that time a lot more. And sure enough, as soon as I started charging money, it was almost like that's an incentive for somebody to start to follow their plan. They're like, well, I paid this guy such and such amount and I should do it. And then, before I would do month to month, and people would like lose 10 pounds in the first month and they're like, I'm done. Right. Yeah. Whereas now, like if you sign somebody for 3, 6, 12 months, they're like, holy crap. Like my whole life's changed in 3 months. My eating habits, I've lost weight. I'm going to the gym now. I'm exercising. I feel amazing. And we know that what you do in the gym and how you change your nutrition translates into your life. Like you're way more structured when it comes to your day to day. You're better, like, and if you're a better like person, you're going to be better for your family, your friends, and whatever else you do. So you can like spread the good, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
For sure. That's probably like what I enjoy about it. And then I get to spend time with my family because I can choose to train whoever I train in person, but most of the people I'm training online. Right. And I like it that way because it makes me like, I have to be sharp. If somebody's form's not good, I'll be like, please send me a video and then I review the form online and I can replay it like 20, 30 times to be like, okay, let's look at the mechanics of the movement, where there's weakness or mobility issues and go from there. Right. So next question was, how do you balance your time for all things you do in your life?
Just prioritize, man. Like
give steps. Give us actionable steps. So if somebody is listening, they're like, okay, I want to get things together. How do I go about it?
Well, you got to write everything down first. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, for example, for me, my life at this point is, obviously my dieting, training, getting that in, my kids, spending time with them, spending time with my wife, and then work. So majority of my day is just planned. I don't know. I can't just say like it's something skills that I just brought over time. Like I can't sit here and think of on top of my head like what I exactly did. It's just habits that built over time. Okay. And for me right now, like for sure, if there's things I need to add on, like I want to start reading more. I want to grow my, like just my knowledge of things and just more depth of so many other things I want to do. But again, they're not priority in my life because so much other stuff is going on, and that's where I'm struggling on adding it in. Yeah. But it's a habit. I got to add it in. Whether it's 5 minutes a day, whether it's 10 minutes a day, it's just making sure I get it done, which eventually it's going to become a habit. So for me now, the way my life is, it's become a habit. Training is part of my day. Eating what I eat is part of my day. My kids are a part of my day. And then obviously my gigs are there, which is a season. I mean, it's been a seasonal thing. This year we'll see if it stays that way or if it's going to die out. If it dies out, there you go. I have more time, but then I'm going to put that time towards something else.
Okay.
Right. But it's actually taking the steps to do it. Like you can't just be like, I want to get in shape, but I don't have time for the gym. Everybody has time. And that's an argument I have with a lot of people around me in my circle, with life, work, friends, everywhere. Everyone's always like, I don't have time. I have this, I have that. I'm like, dude, everybody has time. Like you pick and choose your time. Like if you there's 24-hour gyms. There's gyms that open at 4 a.m. that
Let
close at
me just
midnight.
interject here. So if you have a bench, an adjustable bench, and some dumbbells, you can build a quality physique.
That's
If
what
we're
I'm saying.
talking about the 1950s, bro, they had amazing bodies, and they had just dumbbells and barbells and a bench. That's all they had.
But even if you didn't have that, like I'm like people that I don't have anything at home, like I get that thrown at me. I'm like you can go. I'm not saying go every day.
Yeah.
That's not practical for people. Like I know that you can't people can't put an hour, 2 hours a day to a gym or whatever it is. But if it's something that you want to do, you will do it. That's all I can say. Like it's just if it matters to you.
We are from the bodybuilding background. We like that.
Mm-hmm.
I train jiu-jitsu, bro, and I haven't found enough literature to talk about like what workout or what training program is the best for jiu-jitsu people. And since I couldn't find that, I'm like, I'm just gonna bodybuild because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did bodybuilding routines, and now I'm still looking. And you can't say that a powerlifting routine or a strongman routine or these explosive movement routines are going to make me better at Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Now, combat sports, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So the average person that just wants to be fit, they don't want to look like a bodybuilder, 2 to 3 times a week, full body routines.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that simple.
Yeah, it is.
Think, man.
Yeah,
you don't need to overcomplicate it.
That's what it comes down to. If it matters to you, you'll get it done. I just feel like in this day and age, everybody wants to do everything. They'll see this fad of this is a new thing now. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing this, or I'm gonna start doing this. Oh yeah, I need to do that. It's like okay, like everyone can sit there and say that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Realistically, you're not gonna be able to do everything. So pick and choose the things that really matter right now. Focus on those.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
So like it's like I noticed, let's talk in my field in nutrition. You had a keto cycle, then you're going to have like if it's your macro cycle, then you're going to have the Atkins or modified keto style diet, and then you're going to have vegan vegetarians, and it always goes in a cycle. Like the keto cycle's kind of done now, and we're going back to carbs are cool.
I just straight up, my thing is, man, like I tell everybody this, like I know people around me that are doing keto, they're doing this, they're doing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, not gonna lie, that's probably the one thing that I say that was decent, but for other reasons, not for weight loss and stuff like that. Because for training and what I'm trying to achieve, no, it didn't work for me. But days where I'm not training and like I did cardio in the morning and I just want to do a little bit of a longer fast and whatever, sure. But it did affect me in many ways where I couldn't eat, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is I fast till 1 o'clock. I'd have a coffee, obviously, throughout the day and water, green tea, whatever it was. But I'd eat my meal at 1 o'clock and then I'd just be full. And I couldn't eat properly. I'd maybe end up getting 2 meals in and then like 3 meals in. I just stayed kind of bloated and full. Then if I just had my breakfast right when I got up or within the hour, then I'm starving 2 hours later. I'm eating 2 hours later.
So the thing with fasting is this, right? Fasting is fantastic for your cognitive capability because you feel like if you have like a black coffee in the morning and let's say you're doing like a food fast, you're not doing like away from liquids as well.
Yeah.
Oh man, like if I don't eat anything and just have a little bit of caffeine, I have the most productive amount of work that I can do.
Breakfast, I'm magical.
Yeah. And but the thing is though, when you break your fast, this is where people make a lot of mistakes. They start to like have a very, very big meal. The best bet, in my opinion, is to have a very small portion of food to break your fast. Give your body like 30 to 40 minutes to digest that food and then have your bigger meal. A lot of people, what they do is they'll fast and have like 1 to 2 meals a day and they'll have this huge meal and then they get that bloating. And the other part of fasting that's great is it gives your digestive system a break. You're not eating 3 or 4 meals. You get a long break. You get more fluids in. I think it's super useful. But if your goal is like to change the way your body looks in terms of your physique, and you do care about your performance in the gym, then you like. I'm not saying fasting is bad for that because there's plenty of athletes that do use IF. But like you want like I'll tell you like training fasted versus having a meal or two before. I feel a lot better going into training. Maybe for a couple of days I'll feel good fasted, but then that's it, right?
Yeah.
So back to the original question, I think, because I think we went on a bit of a tangent. So how do you balance your time for all things you do in your life? I always found myself that I wouldn't have enough time at the end of the day to do the things I wanted. That was what happened in the beginning. So now I'm gonna give some steps that I did. I wrote down all the things that I would like to accomplish, or like what a perfect day would look like for me. So whether that's wake up in the morning, meditate, pray, whether that's do client work, that's get a workout, spend some time with the kids, get my workout in, get my meals in, go to work, etc. I wrote it all down, and then I looked at, I pop on Google Calendar and I look at my day. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work out these days. I put it in the calendar. This time to this time, I'm working out.
Yeah.
Then and I've also integrated this with my wife, where she can see my schedule. So there's no like, oh, I booked this for this day, and it kind of we kind of contradict our schedules, right? From there, I'll look and I'll be like, oh, I have way too many things that I got to put in this calendar. So then that's where it's like, okay, what do I really have to get done in the day? What's really going to push the needle forward for me? So that's when I was like, okay, cool. And it took me about an hour and a half, but I had 4 to 6 months scheduled.
Yeah.
Because with me, like my schedule at work is it kind of changes every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, same.
So I put it in the calendar, I slotted it in. And man, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be this crazy productive stuff. Like for me, this podcast was a big thing because I want to talk to like my buddy. I want to talk to my best friend. So I was like, okay, cool. I could do a podcast, and in my calendar it was supposed to be call one of your friends.
Yeah.
Right? So I've kind of killed two birds, stone type of thing, right? So that's how I would go about it. Fill your calendar in, write everything down on a
like
paper.
Google Calendar has saved my life, like in so many ways. Like there's
and for me, I use Calendly. So if clients want to book calls with me, it syncs with their Google Calendar, so they can kind of see your availability and book calls with you. So I don't have to say like, oh, I'm not available this day, and kind of go through that back and forth of trying to set up a call. And you might want to do that with your schedule eventually too, if it lines up with your business, because people can see your availability. But I guess that depends when you get super busy. But that would be how I balance it all out. Before I would be like, oh man, I have to work on client work, but then I have to take care of the kids real quick. And this is where I got to give like kudos to the wife, because she's been like a pro. I took care of the kids like crazy when I'm doing business stuff. I returned back to jiu-jitsu, and I'm a fanatic, so I want to train jiu-jitsu like every day now. I like tried to map out of my schedule, like where can I train? So these guys are closed on Sunday. Where can I train on this day, right? So and for me, my reason for going back was because I was gonna quit. I enjoyed wrestling and doing judo and stuff, but you have kids, you get married and stuff like that. So now I'm able to go back, and I want to be able to coach my kids. If your kids want to jump in and they want to do jiu-jitsu, then at least I know the quality of the training that they're getting, because I don't want to knock on jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu's helped my life in so many different ways. I will say that, there's a big difference between, like, we can even take black belts. There's like the guys that are winning the competitions and fighting in MMA and they're champions. And then another black belt that you see, but the person that's not, they don't understand jiu-jitsu, or they're pretty new, they can't tell the difference. They kind of think it's the same guy because he's wearing a black belt, and it couldn't be, because we don't have like a setup like how it is with judo or wrestling, where it's like, okay, these guys are the cream of the crop, and this is why. So I mean, I wanted to make sure that they were getting the best quality training. I'm not saying I'm the best coach in the world. If another world champion coach comes here, I'm going to send the kids that way, because I think they'll get the best coaching that way. But that's another thing too, man. Some guys can be world champions and they suck as coaches. They don't understand how to coach an athlete or a person, right?
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends. Like, some of the greatest coaches in jiu-jitsu are guys that weren't, like, for example, we were talking about ADCC. Gordon Ryan's coach is like, he's got a crippled leg. I don't even think he can roll very hard, but he's created killers that are champions.
And
not to knock my favorite grappler of all times. Like, my favorite grappler of all times is Roger Gracie, and I think he's the greatest of all times, right? but I don't think he's produced a black belt world champion.
Yeah.
So that's not to knock his teaching abilities, but I mean, there's more to just knowing the technique and being really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else is there, man. Like, there, you know, it's not always.
There's so many things like that, man. Even like in our field, like things I do, like there's coaches out there that can tell you how to play the dhol, how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to be, the beat and everything. But you tell him to play, no.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you anything, but he could make you a sick dholi.
Okay.
Just because of his understanding of the music, how it's supposed to be played, you know, like, no, that's the beat, that's like just the grace of it. There's so many aspects to it. Like, and I think I've heard that from people too, that like a lot of these wrestling coaches have never wrestled themselves. They just know the sport, they understand.
Or
it.
like they never like okay. Let's take bodybuilding for example. Hani Rambaud had that knee injury. For people that don't know, Hani Rambaud's coached. I think he's got like something crazy, like 10 or 15 Mr. Olympia titles, or or just Olympia titles in general, just not Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
So like he tweaked his knee really bad, like not even a tweak. He actually blew out his knee, and he had to stop his bodybuilding career. Yet he's coached like arguably, like, you know, I guess if you're looking at it, Phil Heath is like up there, man. But he's 7 times Mr. Olympia, and Hani coached him. He coached Jeremy Buendia, who was the men's physique.
Yeah.
I think he's got a few of the ladies too. I could be wrong though. So like Chad Nichols, I don't think he's a pro bodybuilder, but he's coached the greatest of all times, Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't have to be, and trust me, bro, those guys are not shredded either.
Yeah.
Chad Nichols, I think Chad's the man in terms of his coaching abilities, but I don't think he's shredded. I think he actually likes to powerlift more, so he's a little bit chubbier.
Yeah.
Hani's not shredded.
Yeah.
Not knocking Hani. Hani's the man, but you know, he's not like, you know, and they haven't gotten to that size. I don't think they've been 300 pounds like some of these guys are getting to.
Yeah.
So that I like to say that all the time, because it's like, for you to be a good coach doesn't mean you have had to done it. It would help, obviously, but I think the reason why it works with those guys is because they understand, like, take a Patrick Tour, for example. He coaches guys like Ian Valier. He was helping James. I think he made it. And then he tells a story of like, he's walking behind Ronnie Coleman and he's like, what the hell am I doing here? Because Ronnie was just freaking wacky. Right.
Yeah.
And I think where they excel is they're like, well, I don't have genetics like Ronnie. Can't get away with putting on like half a bottle of, you know, that barbecue sauce on my food. So they look at like, okay, how can I maximize the nutrition? How can I maximize the training, the recovery? How can I maximize the PED use? All that stuff, right? So that segues into our next question. What are our views on anabolic steroids and, you know, peptides and things like that?
I personally don't have anything against it. I feel like if you're doing...
What did you think about when you were younger, though? Like, let's say when you're like 18 years old, what were your views on it?
I've never been against it. I've never been against it. I was never against it because I've always looked at bodybuilding growing up. I've always been around, my whole family's in sports. Kabaddi was huge in my family. A lot of the, like straight up, a lot of the Kabaddi players at that time were juiced out, right? I mean, I know it. I personally seen them take it. I'm not going to say names, but like I was never against it. I was just against the fact that when you'd ask people or something and they're just feeding you false information, saying, oh no, I've never taken that, I'll never touch that stuff. And it's like, dude, just be real. Like, you know, like if someone's asking you opinion about something, just be honest, because it's a dangerous thing to play with.
You know what it is though, man? Like, I think I remember back in the day, it used to be a big deal for us. Like, oh, people wouldn't admit they're taking gear. And I remember you said you used to get really pissed off about that, right? Because they would annoy you. Because you're like, you do, but you're not being honest, right?
Yeah, because it's like, dude, I look at you and I'm like, man, don't fucking sit there and tell me you're natural.
But here's the thing, though. It is like, I do have clients that come to me and like, what do you think? And I have a serious conversation with them about it before they start, or if they choose to start, because they ask my opinion, right? And the thing is, man, let's say you're a young buck and you go to this Kabaddi player that's just juiced to the gills. And all of a sudden you say, he tells you, like, yeah, I do take it. You might go and just grab stuff right away because like, yo, in order for me to look like such and such person, I'm gonna have to take this. Yeah, like, for example, like if a doctor told you or let's say let's not use a doctor because we won't even go down that route. Let's say you got the best nutrition coach in the world, and he's telling you eat this way. People are like, oh, okay. Kobe Bryant says this is how I eat. Millions of people, and rest in peace, Kobe, but millions of people are going to start eating that way because they want to be like Kobe, right? So I mean, like that's where it gets a little tricky.
No, like that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like I'm not against it if you're using it properly in the right places and right time. Meaning, like if you're young, just stay away from it, man. Go do it. Go eat. Go train, because without that, you could be on whatever the hell you want. If you're not eating, you're not training properly, that's not going to help you.
What are some boxes or things you would tick off before you even would consider using drugs? Like what are some things that like you got to do this before you should even consider starting?
Train and live the lifestyle for at least 5-6 years.
Okay.
Properly.
I agree with that. I think you should try to push it.
You can't just like I'm around it all the time. I have kids coming up to me asking me questions like, yeah, man, like I'm gonna think about jumping on. There's like friends around me right now that like are going through a little bit of a weight loss journey, and they're like, oh yeah, man, 20 more pounds, I'm gonna jump on chest and this, that. I'm like, for what? Like, you don't even eat right.
Yeah.
Dude, like I see you eating freaking like you're not jumping on anything. Like maybe for your age, sure. If you want to do TRT,
yeah,
then we can talk. But it's like, no, man, you're like, there's no secret to this, man. Like people just think you're gonna jump on this stuff and you're gonna get huge. It's no, man. It's way more beyond that. I just feel like it's an extra edge to get to the next level. And I'll use cars as an example. Like you can get like a nice car, but adding those things is just making your car, like you're just adding that extra performance aspect to get it to that next level. And in order to get it there, you got to know everything before that, learn how to drive it properly, because you can't just put 500, horsepower into a car and not know how to drive a car properly. What I mean, and that when it comes to your body is learn how to train properly, learn how to lift properly, learn how to eat properly, figure out what works for you. Like you can't just go completely brand new and be like, I'm going to jump on, because dude, you don't even know what diet's going to work for you. You don't even know is push-pull legs going to work for you, is, like there's so many different things out there, man. Like you got to trial and error.
Yep.
And I think I'm not against it. I just feel like you got to know what you're doing, do your blood work, talk to the right people, and dosages, you got to start small, man. Like you don't even need, if you're young, you don't even need testosterone, I feel, at that age, right? Depending on what age we're talking. But I mean, if your entire goal is pro bodybuilding and you're trying to get to that, that crazy level, and you're already like 21, 22 years old and you're already a beast, like you're the size of people that are on juice without juice, then I'm not gonna make a comment. I'm not gonna say go do it, but talk to the right people, man. Make sure you're around the right people that will guide you to it properly, because it's a dirty business, man. Like there's so much bad shit out there. You make sure your sources are good, and I'm not against it. I've never been against it. Even growing up, I was never against it. I know people around me that are completely against it. Like my dad guys, family, all the old school people that I'm around, like, but they dog on it. Yeah. But even my grandpa, he dogged on it, but he never was against it, because he's like, what are you doing it for?
That's the question.
He said it to me, he was not down with it, with all these guys like in that field of what they were in, kabaddi stuff, doing it and just getting huge. And he's like, half these big guys couldn't even do anything. The small guys that are like natural are just shit kicking them, right? And or like whatever, they're winning the matches, but these guys are getting injured quicker because they're juicing up, their muscles are getting tight, and then all of a sudden they get taken down and they tear something.
Well, there's something to it, because people in the UFC are getting popped. All the sports are getting popped, so there's merit in terms of it's going to increase your performance. But the thing is, man, like, they don't know what they're doing. I think that's what it really boils down to.
No, but I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is the stuff that these pros are taking at like UFC levels and stuff, that stuff they're taking is to help their endurance, help other things. These guys are taking like Deca, D-ball, and like they're just blowing up and they're getting stiff. They're not stretching. They're not doing things that,
What about afterwards, man? What about afterwards when they don't know how to do a PCT properly?
That's what I'm
Or
saying.
they hop on and off, or they're blasting all the time, and
it's all the purpose. Like my grand, that's what he said to me. He's like, bodybuilders, he wasn't against it. He's like, yeah, they gotta do that. You're not gonna look like that naturally.
Yeah.
Right there, it was just a matter of fact of what you're doing it for. They said build the body naturally because whatever your natural strength is gonna give you, you can't ever take away, which is true. Because you build a natural strength, you're able to bench 3 plates naturally. Someone can't take that from you. But if you're barely struggling with like a plate and a half, plate 25, you jump on gear, now you're benching like 2 1/4, 3. As soon as you come off, you're not going to be most likely benching that same weight, right?
And that's where the depression comes in. And then when the hormones are a little off and you're not doing this stuff properly, man, there's a lot there. That's a pretty loaded question, but the question was basically, what are our thoughts on it? So when I was younger, I was like, that's cheating. I was super anti-drug. You remember me, right?
Oh,
like there was a phase, man. If you talk to like Najib, he would have been like, dude, this guy wouldn't even drink protein shakes because he's like, I don't need them. Water's good enough. Like when I was really, really young.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, I just look at the use of it. So if you're gonna just take gear to look jacked at the club, you know, it's your choice. I wouldn't recommend that, right? Because there's no point, man. And a lot of people genetically, like, they can actually look fantastic natural. They just gotta, you know, basically dot all their I's and cross all their T's when it comes to nutrition and training, right? I've seen people that are natural that look freaking amazing. They're peeled, right? But to get that really big bubbly look, a lot of people have to go on anabolics. But I look at the use now. So if you're going to be a competitor and, you know, the rest of the competition is using it, cool. But if you're the average kid, and let's say you maxed out your genetics and, you know, you've been training for 5-6 years and now you're like, okay, man, like I tried everything. I want to be bigger. Like I say to everybody, I don't talk, doses with anybody. I just say, do the best with the least and then work your way up slowly. But just push hard on the training, push hard on the nutrition, the recovery, the sleep. Man, there's so many variables that I talk to guys that have been doing this so long. We'll talk about salt. They're like, I don't use that much. I don't want to get the high blood pressure or the
I do that.
And it's like, are you kidding me? Right? Like the high blood pressure part only matters if you already have an issue with blood pressure.
Yeah.
But as an athlete that sweats a lot, it's necessary for like in every meal. You know what I mean? Like I had a marathon runner that I worked with, and like his rehydration drink was basically like fructose, cyclic dextrin, water, half a teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt, so 600 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium, right? And then a little bit, like depending on the time of day, caffeine, because caffeine's going to help with the uptake of the carbohydrates that he's getting in. So like that's just in a rehydration drink on top of all of his stuff. And he never had issues, blood pressure. If anything, he's like, I feel amazing.
But he's a marathon runner, though. It's different, right?
Yeah, but like even MMA fighters or people that are doing 2-a-days.
Yeah.
Right? If you were like, hey, bro, I'm going to be doing 2 sessions a day. Let's say you're doing wrestling in the morning and kickboxing at night.
Yeah. That kind of training is different, though, too.
You're going to need it. I had a hockey player that was in Prague, and we used this, the same protocol. The numbers were tweaked for him. And he was saying, he's like, dude, I never realized I was dehydrated until I got hydrated with this. And he felt like his performance went way up. I think it was he was representing Team Canada in Prague. Right. So it's one of those things where like even that a lot of people don't know. So where I go with it in terms of anabolics is like that. Like if you're using it for a legitimate reason and the rest of the competition is doing it and you understand all the pros and cons of it. And man, this is where it kind of sucks that the forums have gone down and it's not as popular as it used to be. But if you want to know more about drugs, there's like membership sites. So you can go on like mountaindog.com. John Meadows, you know, the late great John Meadows, he has his website and they go over anabolics. Trained by JP, he has a membership website. You could even just pay $20 for the month, watch all the anabolic videos and cancel your membership. But you'll get so much more knowledge about it from people that have done it. And if you want something free, you can go on intensemuscle.com. It's run by Skip Hill, but Dr. Scott Stevenson's on there. Dante Trudell, some of the old school guys that like they're more like pro health. They're like, okay, do this stuff properly. So there are resources out there. The problem is, man, when you look at like some of the people online, they're like pushing their products, their supplements, their SARMs, their this, their that. And that, I can't blame people because there's just so much BS out there. There's still those people that listen to the gym bro, but he's making the gear in his tub. You know what I mean? And he's trying to sell that and push it onto the kids. So this is where I was kind of like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to start helping people. And that's why, like, at least people that come to you, they're like, okay, cool. Like, this guy's at least giving me some good advice. Last question. Who is the greatest of all time when it comes to MMA, in your opinion?
Fuck. Greatest of all time?
Yeah. So until now, the greatest.
I don't know, because like it's like there's people now, and it's like,
listen up, guys. Sister Nino, you can't just think out loud. You got to pick somebody.
I'd say GSP.
Okay.
As
Why?
for when it comes to like,
why does he beat Fedor in terms of the list?
Are you talking MMA in general?
Just MMA all time.
Oh, like not just UFC.
Yeah, like everybody.
Fuck, man, that's tough, dude. Because I'm like they're all like have certain things.
Okay.
Like Fedor, I didn't watch him too much till like you pointed him out to me.
Yeah.
And then I started really watching him. So I'd say as for what I've watched, it'd have to be GSP. I think at that time when I was really into it.
Okay.
And then I faded away. I mean, up until now, it's hard. I mean, there's Khabib, there's all these people that are like, but at the time I watched and probably stopped watching. Like for me, it was when Vitor got knocked out, bro. That was it. That night, I think that was a couple other like.
It's the end of an era, man. The dad bod era was over, bro.
Yeah, like there was that few shitty cards, not shitty cards, but just disappointing knockouts that like.
Yeah.
I stopped watching UFC, and I think the reason I mainly stopped watching at the time MMA was there were just too many cards, and there were just not good fights. It was just like it was so exciting that once a month, crazy card that was gonna come up.
Was it not good fights, or was it just the few cards that you saw? Like maybe you had two cards where you're like, "Holy crap! It's just all decisions. I'm done." Like
no.
Because if you look forward to like GSP fighting and big names, right? You'll always buy that card. But then if that big name's not fighting, you might not watch the card or maybe.
That's what I'm saying. It was a phase where like once a month it used to be like that card you look forward to, and everybody booked. We're coming over on Saturday or whatever it was.
It is saturated because we were watching UFC early days, right? Like because we've known each other for a long time. I think I started training in 2000. I think my first class was 2003, but I didn't start training properly till 2005, 2006. And even training properly, there was like nothing there. It was like one gym in our area, and like nobody taught gi jiu-jitsu. It was no gi, but MMA no gi with like basically like one or two submissions with nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you with the GSP, but here, I'll explain why though. John Bones Jones is the best fighter because of just the dominance, what he's capable of doing. And
right now, yeah, for sure.
But
I'm talking about the yeah.
He got popped for PEDs a couple times. That knocks you off the list, man. Like his caliber, like his fighting, he's crazy good. He's hands down the best fighter.
Like, his prime versus GSP in the prime would be fucking interesting.
I don't think it could happen because GSP would have to come up to like 200 pounds, man. GSP is like 170. His walk around's maybe 185, 180.
Yeah, true.
Like I don't even know if he was 185 when he beat Bisping. I think he might have been just under because he had like a stomach issue, right? But I put GSP because he never got popped for drugs.
Yeah.
He lost the title and regained the title. There's very few champions to do that.
Yeah.
And he was always a good representative in terms of the sport. You didn't hear about him doing any kind of BS antics behind the scenes, or as far as I'm aware. Fedor,
that's what I mean. His overall,
because he never lost for like 11 years, and he was active 2 to 3 fights a year. But then he continued to fight, and I think that kind of drops your legacy down a little bit. So when he got knocked out by Henderson, then I think he lost to Antonio Silva, I believe his name was, and then he lost a bunch of times. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, like if he stopped after he knocked out Arlovsky, he's the greatest fighter to ever do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But mind you, like it's hard to tell, right? Because back then, like they didn't test for drugs like they do now. USADA was like testing people the day of the fight. It's just nuts what they're doing now.
Yeah, but he's like that guy. Like he's a different breed, bro. Like you even watch what he does now. He's still like he just lives and breathes that, man. GSP, like
he's a martial artist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's an actual martial artist. He lives and breathes martial.
He's retired and he still trains.
That's what I'm saying. Like you watch his stuff now currently. You go on his page.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised what he still does, right?
Oh man, I think I saw a picture of him like training with Gordon and Danaher guys. Because before Danaher started coaching Gordon Ryan, he was also helping George. So I think he's been working with George St. Pierre longer than he has, you know, with some of the other guys. So I mean, like, just go like Google, you know, John Danaher or YouTube him and just watch a couple of his videos. He's got this like serial killer vibe, but he's very meticulous and he's dedicated his life to martial arts. And like you could see why he's such a valuable asset to people like George St. Pierre. You know what I mean? But man, like that's where like who else is up on the list? I'm trying to think here, man. Like you got John Bones Jones, you have George St. Pierre, and you have Fedor. The reason why I have GSP2 is multiple level in terms of like he won the light heavyweight title, or sorry, the middleweight title and the welterweight title. Right? I think like not very many people have done that. I know a few have, like Connor did it, but now see, like Connor could have been on that talk, but then he started losing all these fights, right? And the way that it is. So I agree with you, man. GSP's got to be the greatest of all time. And this is our opinions too.
He was somebody that like, you just look at and you're like, damn, man, like I want, you know, like the physique, just how he holds himself. Like
have you heard his, like, so every fighter's got a story, right? So I'm not trying to say his stories that, like, if you've watched the Joe Rogan podcast with Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion, it's nuts what that guy had to do to get out of Africa, man. Just nuts.
Yeah.
But like, so I'm not trying to say George's story is this crazy, but I'm pretty sure he's in Montreal. So he would actually like work Monday to Friday as a garbage man. And then like Friday, he would take a bus. So like, and the cost of like the commute plus his accommodations in New York, because I'm pretty sure that like on that side of the world, New York is like just below Montreal.
Yeah.
He would spend like 50%, like could be, we don't know for sure, but about 50% of his income to go travel down there and train at Henzo's, right? Renzo Gracie, one of the great Renzo Gracie, right? Danaher used to be coaching there and stuff. And he would go there, get his ass kicked, right? Because I've experienced this too when first time I went to the University of train with all guys. I just got destroyed at that gym because the caliber of athletes was different when you go from how we are over here in Canada, right? This is years ago. It's changed a little bit now, but think about that, bro. You work your butt off Monday to Friday. You try to train at your local gym too. You spend half your money to go to New York, train, get your butt kicked for the weekend, and then come back and do it all over again. So thanks everybody for listening. Sonny, how can people reach you if they need any kind of Dhol services or anything like that?
Beats by Dhol or Sonny Toli 604, either or.
Those are your Instagram handles?
Yeah. My phone number is listed directly on Sonny Toli page.
Okay. So that's SUNNYDAOLI 604 on Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you guys need help with like training or nutrition, just shoot me an email at bkbnutrition@outlook.com. All right, brother. Take care, man.
Sounds good, bro. Peace.